I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago.
Today, I am very excited to have back in studio Jay Dusold of LifeAfter12.com. Jay is a career coach, an author, a public speaker, a mentor. He has a course on his website, The 4 Foundations of Effective Parental Career Guidance. And if you want to learn more about that, there will be some descriptions and links in the description box below. He was also a podcast guest for us on the Homeschool Counseling Network podcast, where we talked about all of the different ways that he helps mentor and launch adolescents into their career choices and into that next level of young adulthood, and the ways that he helps pour into homeschooling families. If you want to hear that interview, I will put a link in the description box below. But today we have Jay back in studio with us to talk about his book. His debut release is called Know Before You Go, and it is not a book. We're going to feature Jay this month in our Bibliotherapy book club. For those of you who may or may not be familiar with bibliotherapy, it is a form of using books to help heal, to help grow, to help you learn. And today we have invited Jay to come on and talk about his tiny yet powerful book, Know Before You Go. Tell us all about your book, Jay.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Kimberly. Glad to share some minutes here with you and your listening audience. Really appreciate it. So, Know Before You Go, it's called a not a book because it's really designed for young people who typically don't like to read and have a 3-second attention span, which is a lot of them.
Yes.
So the idea behind this was to try to give this idea that's in the book the best chance of surviving when the physical book entered the home of the young person. So the book is not shaped like a book. It's 6 by 6. It's got a bright yellow cover. It says not a book right on the front cover. And it's really designed, everything about it is designed to spark interest. So the young person will pick it up, and then within 4.5 minutes, they'll actually be finished reading it. And so it's really geared to ensure curiosity and then completion. Whether it's the title, the cover, there are no pages. There is a visual progress meter so that they can be encouraged every time they flip a page. They see, oh my gosh, I'm actually making progress. So it's really designed to be a physical book that parents will purchase, leave in their home, in the bathroom, in the bedroom, on the coffee table, at the kitchen. So they spark that intrigue and interest, and the young person will pick it up. It's really geared to introduce a framework, a simple framework that they can practically use as they are navigating life after 12, trying to find their place in the world of work.
What I love about it is because you understand your audience so well, because now if you pick up your phone and you go to read any type of news article on there, it will literally tell you the amount of time that it takes you to read that article.
Right.
Audiences will literally decide whether they're going to invest the difference between 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and 7 minutes of whether or not they're going to read or skim that article. And that has changed how we write. That has changed how we communicate with one another. But that tells me how well you know your audience.
Yeah, it's so important.
No, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No. I just felt like it was important to create something that was unique for them. This is not written to make sales, on Amazon. I self-published. I went through a whole learning process myself. I had people look at it and say, well, it doesn't really comply to the conventions. I said, I'm not interested in complying to the conventions of writing a book. I am interested in impacting young people, and if it means I don't have a table of contents, and well-meaning people are like, well, it's a book, it must have a table of contents. I said, I'm in control. No, it doesn't.
Mhm.
It's just going to go right into it. And I hired a fantastic illustrator, Genevieve Mahoney, and she brought these
Mhm.
characters to life so that a young person would love to look at them. And there's giant font. There's like one sentence per page. Again, people would look at this and say, "You're crazy. You're not going to sell these books." That's not the point. The point is to influence and impact a generation of young people and give them a valuable tool that they can use to try to reduce all the confusion they have on this
Mhm.
topic
Mhm.
of finding their place in the world of work and finding a career that will align and match and will give them a place to thrive and flourish.
That's true. And I've actually had a chance to have a sneak peek at it. And I will put a link up here to some more information about Jay's book, as well as a link in the description box below where you can purchase it. But I will say, even though it is a series of questions and they're questions that pack a punch, they are thought provoking. They're short enough that you can read them, but they were carefully chosen so that you can take it one at a time. You can read this several times and go quickly, obviously, which is the point, but it's not any less deep for that. And I would say, for anyone who says to you, oh well, there's not really enough of it to be impactful, read Piggy and Gerald. Read the pigeon stole the bus, or don't let the pigeon drive the bus. We've read those kinds of, not to say that it is a children's book, that's not what I'm saying, but even from picture books, they can be quite impactful. I think of the literally of the picture book, it's a book. I mean, or I think of the Piggy and Gerald series, or the
Right.
same one, Mo Willems, who writes the Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, Don't Let the Pigeon Have a Taco, or any of those kinds of things. They're no less impactful. There are page turns there. There is very tongue-in-cheek humor. It's very brightly colored, and it speaks to the generation. So, having had a sneak peek to it, and having a child who is soon to be a teen, knowing the very, very short attention span that your audience faces. But not only that, we discussed earlier in our podcast episode the decision fatigue that
Yes.
particularly your audience faces from being overwhelmed by too much. Limiting those choices is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it actually can help encourage you to think deeper about it rather than squirrel. Let me look at the
Yep.
next thing that's popped up. So I think that's one
Yep.
of the beautiful things that is about it. So I'm glad you didn't listen to any of the naysayers and you just pursued it on your own.
Yeah, well, it's a key piece of coaching work I do, but I wanted to set that particular part of it free from my coaching, and I wanted more young people to have access to it. And so the subtitle is The 9 Things You Must Discover About a Job of Interest to Avoid a Regrettable Choice. And that's what the framework is. It's I call it the job research blueprint. And it's literally giving young people, hey, if you haven't thought through these 9 things, if you haven't discovered these 9 things about a job that you have an interest in, you really shouldn't invest any time, money, or effort pursuing it, because there's likely going to be things you discover in any one of those 9 areas that might be turnoffs to you. And so
Mm-hmm.
just make sure you really have a thorough, holistic understanding of the position before you make a decision. And of course, you already referenced, Kimberly, the questions that are in there are designed to
Mm-hmm.
take each of the 9 areas and just help them reflect on it, not just to say, okay, I know this now and move on, but to say, wait a minute, the first, one of the big things is the finances, the income.
Mm-hmm.
What is the income for this job of interest? And then just giving them questions to really process the findings. Hey, I discovered that a mechanic is going to make $31,000 a year. Okay, but so what? Well, now we got to process that. What are the implications of
Mm-hmm.
that? What does that mean? And so that set of questions is really designed to help them think through their findings and understand what are the implications of those findings if you were to actually pursue this job. So just setting that part free to have more young people access it was really the heart behind this whole project from the beginning.
Well, I think your humor shines through in it as well. And that tells me that you also, I mean, they are serious questions and they are thought provoking questions. That's not what I mean, but just
Mhm.
literally in the title, not a book. I mean, it's tongue in cheek. It lets you know the kind of quirkiness and gayeliness that goes with the audience. I'm not picking on teens. I'm not picking on young adults by any means. There are some adults that could benefit from this book as well, like
Yes.
grown up adults with retirement accounts. So they're probably like me and wish they had a book like this when they were younger. But it's small enough, you could buy a couple of them and just stash it around places around your house, which is what I would do to my kid, because
Yes.
that's how we roll in my house. But did you read that book? Did you read that not a book? So I wanted to say it's a beautiful little piece of work.
Thank you.
But thought-provoking, so don't let the size of it, even though it's a quick read, it doesn't mean it is a simple read. It is thought-provoking. You can read it and reread it and take your time with it. Where can audience members find your book, your Not a Book?
Yes, the Not a Book is found on Amazon, and I believe you're providing the link to make a purchase there. And of course, if any of you make a purchase, thank you in advance. Please feel free to leave a review and share it with others. Schools are purchasing the book, other organizations, individuals. Again, it's really designed to get this framework out there as a tool that young people can use.
Well, it's definitely a tool that is needed. And thank you so much for coming back on our show today. We hope Not a Book takes off and just explodes. And it sounds like it's already having a huge following as it is already. If you would like to find more about Jay and about his course and about his coaching business, you can find him at Life After 12th. 12th is in 12th grade, the number.com. And I will put a link to that in the description box below, as well as links to our previous interviews and an Amazon link to his Not a Book. Thank you, Jay, so much for spending time with us again today.
Thank you, Kimberly. Great to be here. Take care.